Hello and welcome to another episode of Cooking with Jimmy. Today I have pork spare ribs, and what we're doing today is I'm showing you how to take these beautiful ribs, 2 slabs of ribs, and break them down properly before you put them on the grill. Now a lot of people will just buy them and slap them on the grill, and this is a number of reasons why you shouldn't do that. Number one is because this piece, as you can see, is not uniform. You see, you have this area over here that's a lot smaller than this area. And so what happens is when you try to cook this piece, you're gonna have this side, which is gonna cook a lot faster than this larger side. So you don't want to cook this without taking off the smaller part of the rib. Another thing you want to do is you want to, of course, trim it, get all this fat off. Look at all that fat. You want to get all that fat off, and you even want to get this pocket off, and you want to get rid of the silver skin. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to show you how to break this down, remove the silver skin, trim the fat, get rid of any residuals, and we'll talk more about that. So let's get started. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell. All I want to do is zoom in my room. Just shake your room. All right, so let me start first by removing this flap of skin right here, because we don't want that on there when we put this on the grill. What'll happen is it'll get all gnarly and dried out. And this is a really good piece of meat, saving for a stew, or you can chop it up and do like a spare rib tip dinner, Asian style with it. You know, get you some teriyaki sauce and have it with some rice and mixed vegetables. So you definitely don't want this to stay on there, because it's gonna just be a waste. It's just gonna get gnarly and overcooked, and you don't want that. So let's just get this off. And see, all of this has to come off. Okay, so we got rid of that. I'm just gonna put it over here in my stainless steel bowl as I trim it. So I'm gonna take this off right here. This is not any good. This is not anything that we can save. And of course, this is not anything that we can save. It's just fat. But one of the myths is that you want to trim all the fat, and that's not true. You do want to, you know, leave a little bit of fat, just because it renders while it cooks on the grill. So when I say render, I mean it's gonna just create a nice succulent texture to it, because that fat is just gonna melt all into that meat. And so that's what you want, within reason. And this is just meat. So, like I said, if you don't take it off, you're gonna overcook it, and it's not gonna be juicy, it's gonna be dry. So don't leave it on there. And every rib has its own identity. It's not a cookie cutter kind of way of trimming. So you just have to work with the meat and find out the personality of that meat, because this is an animal after all. So you want to take that into consideration. And this part, this completely has to come off. And so what I have here is my cleaver, because you're gonna have to take this sucker off. Be careful. It's always good to have the proper utensils when you're working with meat. Good handle on this. There we go. So we got that off. And so now we can start removing some of this fat. Not all of it, just some of it. Like I said, it will render, so we want that. I hope everybody is having a safe holiday. The weather's getting nice, and it's time to start grilling if you haven't already, and it's just an exciting time. See, this is definitely, this is gristle. You don't want that on there. And so you could pay, you could go to a higher end store and they would do all of this for you, but you would have to pay for it. You can see right here, this part of the rib, you don't want that on there. So starting right here, let's just remove. Yeah, so there we are. So we have that off. Just like I said, figure out that personality of that rib, and you can still feel where this isn't the rib. This is part, it's all gristle and cartilage, which is good for like a, like I said, for like a spare rib tip meal. It's perfect for that kind of thing. You know, you just chop it up into smaller pieces, you know, and make it do what it do, you know, and that's a whole meal in of itself right here, a whole meal. And what I usually do is I just take this and put it in the freezer, and you know, have it later, at a later date. Maybe even put it in the crock pot, put some barbecue sauce on it. There's a little bit too much fat right here for me. I'm just gonna trim some of this fat. Just go through and take your time, do it right, and your family will appreciate it, and you'll save a lot of money. You'll save a lot of money doing this. Just get rid of this extra fat. We don't want that. It's not gonna taste good. We just want just get rid of that. Get rid of this off. Okay, so I still feel like there's just a little bit more trimming left over here. Just a little bit. Like I said, we don't have to, you know, get rid of all of it. Okay, so I'm beginning to like the way this is looking. Like I said, take your time. Rome was not built in a day. So I'm gonna turn this over and I'm just gonna give it a nice trim over here. And what I wanna try to do is I wanna try to get rid of this silver skin. To get started, this is the silver skin, folks, that we're getting rid of. This is gonna take away from that chewy texture that sometimes when you go to barbecues and you see that people, you know, haven't taken this off of and the ribs are kind of chewy. It's just silver skin. So we need to get that off. It's kind of like eating deshelling crab. Some people are great at it. Some people aren't. But practice makes perfect. See, I don't want this on here. This skinny bone. Oh, heck no. Definitely don't want that on there. Once you get it going, you're good. Yeah, we're getting it. They don't usually remove the silver skin for you at the store, no matter what store you go to. This silver skin was thicker. It's got a lot of fat under it. That's probably why it didn't come completely off right away. It's got a lot of fat. You can see all that fat underneath. Get in there and just do one of these numbers. Try not to get too much of your meat when you do this either. Oh, there you go. That's the rest of it. We got that silver skin. Boy, it was rough. It's never easy. Not for me anyway. I see other people just do it so easy. But it really, I've had my moments when I was able to get it easily. It really depends on the animal. Like I said, this one seemed to have a lot of fat underneath the silver skin. So you just take your time and look how much better that looks. How much more uniform it is. You know, it's just beautiful. So this is a little bit, see that flap? It's gonna get dry if I leave it on there. And it's a waste of meat, you know. It's a waste of meat if you leave it on there because it's not gonna cook at the same speed, at the same rate as the rest of your meat. It's gonna dry out. Okay, what I wanna do now is something that normally you would go to the butcher and have done. But I'm going to do this. I'm just gonna make shorter ribs out of these. Cut it down the middle, just like that. And when you're cooking for a lot of people, those digits, make sure that blade is far away from your hand. I don't even recommend having something like this in the house if you have young kids. I really don't. Not unless you can keep it away from them. And this is one of those things that you definitely want to take your time with. Bone crusher. Labor of love, folks. Almost there. Chop away from the direction of your hand. Okay, so we got it done. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to decide how many I want. And I think I want 2 ribs per section. And this is a really good way to make your ribs stretch when you're feeding a large dinner party. You know, you can make your ribs go a long way, you know, and so that's what we want to make our food stretch. And then sometimes if people are like me, they don't want to eat a lot of one thing. And so, you know, a whole rib, which giving them 2 of these is like the equivalent of 1 rib. But, you know, giving them, you know, 2 ribs or something like that, it might be more than they want. I mean, you're going to have other things that you're preparing, like your chicken, possibly, and, you know, hot dogs and hamburgers. So people may not want to eat all that. You know, they may want to sample a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And so this will allow them to do that. Please like, share, and subscribe to this video and give it a thumbs up. Now on to my second slab. I'm going to trim the excess fat. Attention to detail. I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it in one swipe this time. Pimpin' ain't easy. What you say? What you say? How you say it? Okay, so I have my steeping hot water, and I'm just going to put some kosher salt in there, some sea salt, rather, in there generously. And I'm going to take my ribs and I'm just going to let them brisk in this salt water for about 10 minutes. Now, if you didn't cut them in half like I did, you don't have to do this. But because I cut them in half, after generously rinsing them to get rid of any bone fragments, you want to do this as well, because you want to make sure that there are no bone fragments left, because you did, as I did, cut them with the cleaver. You do find that it does leave bone fragments. And so you don't want that to interfere with the experience of eating them for your guests. So I'm going to let this brisk for about 10 minutes, and then I'm just going to rinse them. And it don't stop. Well, folks, that does it for another episode of Cooking with Jimmy. I hope you liked this episode. Please subscribe, please like, and please share this video. And hit the subscription button so that you can be notified the next time I post another video. Peace.